I will see you when I come back. So, but she's explained.
Yes.
Everything will be okay. So I will see you when I come back, and thank you for creating this divine
Thank you.
circle. Mhm. Greetings, we are here. We come to you on behalf of the complete source essence of that which is love, that which is light, on behalf of Melchizedek, on behalf of the galactic, universal joining of that which needs to be revealed. For Melchizedek, Lord Lanto, and the higher expression of all beings, is set to soon integrate and unify. For there is some areas in your life, in your reality, which you cannot escape. And one of those is the law of love, dear ones. The law of integration. For you cannot exist as a separate being or a separate entity. For this law of love is far beyond the oneness. For it is the integrated completeness of the law of love, dear one, that can never be escaped. And yet we say this in the divine attribute and blessings for you to all understand and utilize accordingly. You have all been brought forth here tonight in this divinely protected circle of knowledge, of wisdom, of application, of how to be able to unify the law of love. For as more and more beings are getting connected with that which is already the flame, shall we say, they will remember the highest potential and be able to encounter the complete essence of what is love. Yes, dear ones. Therefore the message is the law of love, and we would like to invite the first question, please.
I will leave you the question, and please ask the divine part.
You see, dear one, you have always seen the love in everyone's eyes. For despite whatever you encounter, you always have tried to find the positive side of things. And because of this, it is like you are planting the seeds of the love, of the unification, and you are planting crystalline structures and gridworks without always realizing it. By you naturally doing this, it is because you are, we have to use the word elevated rather than old soul. We mean you are a soul that is coexisting on many levels simultaneously without always realizing it. Therefore, you are communicating on many forms. Your expression of deep understanding and tolerance for much in your life has led to a greater development of your personification of love. For indeed things are not always easy, and yet the more one communicates through the message and the law of love, then the reality shall start to be understood. For human beings have worked so long for being analytical and from the mindset, and yet when you look through the eyes of love, then things shall be revealed at a deeper state. There is the unification of divine twin flames in the law of love. There is the unification of seeing love in all that you do. For indeed the love has to also be applied to each individual as well as that which is given. For you must be able to utilize and understand that. For let's say a puppy or a butterfly will realize that in its completion. it is important now that you start to be a little bit more accepting to the bountiful gifts from the universe that is coming to you, dear one. For it will be that of deeper transformational learning. And you have come on a path now of being able to utilize this to a higher state. It does not have to be fully understood at the beginning, for love must be felt at a deeper state. And yet all of you here present work in different ways with the aspect of love. And yet when you can see another in the eyes of love, you are giving the truth to yourself, dear one. You must awaken to that deeper understanding. We are pleased with what you have been living and how you have been living your life. And yet you need to share that which you know with more. For you are very in tune, shall we say, and you need to share some of that to the world, dear one. You have unique abilities and talents that are waiting to be fully immersed into the law of love. It is important you acknowledge that June and December this year will bring some insightful journeys, both physically traveling and also energetically, spiritually, having experiences that will develop. We are proud of you, dear one, and we would like you to know that you are experiencing many realities without always realizing. You are a wise soul, dear one. We invite the next question.
Hello, spirits. Thank you very much for your guidance, and thank you, dear friends, for your presence. I feel gratitude for the spirits' information. I want to call upon my father. If I want to, I feel like asking if there's something he wants to tell me. He wants to tell me because I feel like I misunderstood something and they are repeating in my life, and I want to call upon my father.
Yes, you see, dear one, your father wants to kiss you on both cheeks, not just one. And he comes with, although there was misunderstanding at times, although there was a need for forgiveness, which is still not fully solved, shall we say, he has always wanted to kiss you on both cheeks and let you know that the following journey of experience is supported. For you see, despite what human beings realize, the law of love cannot be broken. The law of love can only be restored, contributed to, and expanded upon. It is like the eternal flame that can never go out, and the more experience that is experienced, the more it shall feed that flame, that fire. There are many aspects of that flame. And then, because of that, he wishes to remind you that your life is not broken. Your body is not broken. You are just transforming through different flames of reality. And he is still kissing you on both cheeks and saying if you had allowed him to express his vulnerable side, things might not have been as they were. And yet, he is also asking for forgiveness, for he feels he did not always do the best he could to utilize the gifts and the ability he had. And yet, at the same time, there was an understanding, but that was not fully understood. He would like to remind you of the month of August as a time of celebration. He would like to remind you that within the next 2 months there shall be some clarity into health situations. And you will feel more complete. For this is something that you have been aspiring to and coming into reality. He is aware that you have come to a deeper sense of peace and acceptance with that which needs to be adulterated or changed, adapted to. And yet he reminds you that you have sometimes forgotten your power and your worth, for you like to give and sometimes there is a necessity for you to receive. For you have been giving a lot and always receiving a little bit less at times, and when you have really needed that support, you have had to go out and be it. And yet you have a lot of support and beings around you who are in admiration of you, of your strength, of your dedication. And there is going to be the need to still dance more, to play more, dear one. For the night is still young and you will have much to celebrate also quite shortly. For old relationships will go out of your life and new will come in. Your father is giving you a present and would like you to unwrap that present, for there is going to be something special that will be revealed shortly. We would like to invite the next question, dear ones.
Dear Spirit, I want to thank you for your presence, being with us, and I'm grateful for your guidance. Are there any messages for me I should know?
Dear one, the unified gift of awakening. You are often tired. And this is because you are doing many things simultaneously. You often have been overthinking, overgiving, and there is the time to have the balance of all the areas. Indeed, you have the love, you have the support, and yet there is also the beneficial aspects of fully being. For it is like you work hard, you play hard, you sleep. But there needs to be the interconnected steps, shall we say. For when there are some interconnected steps that lead to a stream, then there is a bridge. And over that bridge, you can really dream a higher reality into being. You are a fortunate one, dear one. And yet you must understand that you are the unified gift. People are in admiration to you. They admire you. They appreciate you because of your innate nature, dear one. Indeed, there are special ceremonies and things to encounter this year. And we in spirit are rejoicing with you both. But we would like you to be able to utilize and fully be aware of the necessity to fully have time of restoration, of peace, of no expectation. This is what you need to receive from others and also need to apply to yourself. For the divine aspect of marriage, of the numbers coming into harmony, of the flames coming into harmony, needs to be brought to a higher state of awareness. And when that is partaken upon, the journey will be strengthened and of more light and presence. For the law of love must also involve letting go of any fear of rejection, of being alone. For that does not exist for an advanced soul. And indeed you are an advanced soul, and you are starting to remember because of the reflection of another. You see, it is like beings can come from different constellations, and yet they can be connected, not by the chains of love, but by the bridge of love. For the bridge of love will lead another across that stream into a higher expression of reality. And that is the importance of why twin flames are required in life. You see, many beings get caught up into the chains of love. And yet for the bridge of love is the unification of the divine. And it is merging with another to a higher state of expression. Therefore being able to understand your fullest, highest flame and self by another's reflection and eyes of love. You see, when you see the love, when you allow it fully into your life, and you start to dilute, first of all, the fears of love, of rejection, of pain, of memories, of insecurities. Before you know it, there is no need for dilution, because the fears have been surpassed. There are no limits to the power of love. And when it is in a unified form of love, it will eclect to a greater state of spontaneity in perfected state of bliss. And when you utilize this, you will be able to come into the full expression of who you are. You are still working too much, dear one. You can delegate at times, and you can still be the captain and be able to delegate. You do not have to tidy up others' work, shall we say. Yes. The future is bright, and the future is that of more completion and wholeness, dear one. Yes. We invite the next question, dear one.
Dear spirits, there are no words to express my gratefulness for this moment, for the channeler, for everyone who made this possible. And I'm so grateful for everything I was given to me in my life, for myself. And I only ask that if there are, because I'm here with divine timing today, if there are messages to be come to me, I am open to receive your guidance always. And thank you so much for everything.
Dear one, the dots have started to join together. When the dots join together, more of the picture, the plan can be revealed. And there is a divine plan in orchestration. Just like the beating crystal heart of entirety, when it becomes more complete in aspects of beings uniting in their highest expression, then the transformation of the treasure, of the essence that is real, can be revealed. You see, it is important to be aware of the infinity matrix, to realize the 88, the infinity that actually has two eyes, and the eyes, the pupil of the eyes, is really a heart. right from the start, the heart was always beating. It was the first expression and first acknowledgement of the unification. This is both true of your double eight, shall we say, of infinity, and also in relation to the higher expression. You have been able to utilize and bring each other up into different states of awareness, of experience. And this has been done by plan, divine love, and spontaneity. It has been orchestrated because the dots have been joined, the stars have been joined. This has been done on forms of making the music, shall we say. For just like the music of the spheres, things have to be connected in a harmony. For if they are out of harmony, then the music does not sound good. If there is the harmony, the love can be utilized at a higher expression to benefit all beings. When beings are in true love, without the need to produce, to take, to give, then the love can be magnified and beings can realize who they truly are. The gratitude you express is that from what you have manifested, from what you have actualized, from what you are going to further experience. The double eight is going further into the DNA of structure, of understanding. For the DNA of structure will bring forth more stability and security in the world of reality. There will be much to celebrate, and already there is. It is important that each moment is celebrated and the blissful states are elongated, shall we say. For there are often short spurts of experience, of journeys, and there needs to be extension of these times. It is important that you understand that there is not one, there is not two, there is only a unified heartbeat. And in the infinity matrix, the two eyes are the two hearts which become the one. We do see there is going to be much to celebrate, and there already is. And you are aware of the month, and you are aware of the unification. And indeed we are divinely blessing it, and divinely grateful for the opportunity to further rejoice in not just one reality, but many dimensional realities. And as the lion's gate opens, the golden truth of love, of unification, of divine bliss shall reveal that which needs to reveal and bless the world. We invite the next question.
Thank you so much.
Dear Spirit, I would like to say thank you for all message and all guidance to me. I would like to ask one more time to update after last session. Do you want me to know more specific information for my clarity?
see, dear one, the direction of your future you contemplate on often. Whether you can fulfill your mission, tolerate the experiences of life. When is the right date to move on, to make decisions, to proceed with that which you have been considering? And yet what you must understand is that for the sense of direction and journeying, you must also be able to communicate to yourself honestly. You see, that which needs to be revealed at any moment can only be revealed when you allow, as in spirit, to show you a mirror, not a physical mirror. We use the aspects of the mirror as being an insight. And by the insight, we mean being able to fully see inside into the true reality of that which is going on in your world of consciousness. To be able to fully be able to integrate both your future journeys, your future plans, in a secure way which will bring forth more understanding. For, you see, like we have informed, there are many opportunities, there are many many aspects of love. There are many things, many beings that can add to the equation of making a flame stronger. And yet you must understand that in the reflection of who you are, you must be able to be strong during the changes of the world and apply accordingly. We do see that there is the need for community, and there is the need for much realignment. A lot is about tolerance, a lot is about spiritually elevating your path of understanding of not being hurt. And a lot is about starting new projects, one in Portugal, and connecting with the ocean, the tides of the world. For the in-breath, the out-breath, is important that you learn the tolerance for the in-breath and the out-breath. For each is a lesson. And it is important that you realize different beings learn different things at different stages. Some combinations work well together, some do not. Some beings like spicy and hot, some beings like cold. But it has not been forgotten that which you need. It is important that you state it as in spirit, for when you state it, you can claim it. If you do not state it, or you have regret, or you have misunderstanding, then you are not stating that which you wish to claim. For without stating something, you cannot claim it. And if you see the miracles of who you are, you start to be able to apply that to the daily experiences. There is the need, again, you work too much at times. When you have more time to come into the unified expression of who you are, the clarity, the love will be intensified. And there are many opportunities, many options to develop that, to trust that, to be able to receive that full love in a deeper understanding. And when you travel, it is not you traveling outside yourself, you are traveling within, dear one. You are loved and valued more than you could know, by one, by many. And it is important that you realize that it is not about making the right decision per se. It is more about stating that which you require to be able to propel forward. To human beings, to spiritual beings, to consciousness. And then the clarity will be given. For it is not that or this, it is that which you are ready to claim. Some beings choose to claim the old habits. Some beings choose to claim their highest potential. Some beings claim to state that which they are ready to bring into the highest expression of themselves. Yes. We invite the next question.
Hello, spirits. I'm so happy to meet you third time, and thank you for your guidance. I have 3 questions actually, but I will ask the first one. This Sunday something happened about my manifestation about previous project, and I am really excited about it, and I want to know if it is good for me to collaborate with these people and to do it on March. I want to learn if you have any messages about this.
Dear one, a lot comes back to trust. Before you see, when you can trust another, you can trust yourself. When things and experiences have been previously bad or not communicated to, be it in work, be it in career, be it in love, be it in life, you must understand there is always a karmic balance. Therefore, that which was said, that which was done, that which was not done, that which was perceived to be good or bad, is that which is often believed. And yet you must understand that whilst it proposes some new opportunity that you had put on hold for a while, it is also important to realize that you had started to progress at a different state of contribution, of reality. And when you go back to something, it can often be destructive in its nature, because it is like going back to old patterns, back to the relations that maybe were not always optimal. And yet, whilst there is a karmic balance, a lot is stated about the law of vibration. And therefore you are the one who can change the law of the vibration accordingly to your career, to your life, to your reality. And by that we mean that to fully feel good and complete and in your center, it is important that your perception changes. And yet, whilst this is a interesting concept for you to consider about returning to the old project, it is important you understand that the most important thing is that you are able to create, achieve and believe on your own. For when the flame is already lit, all that comes into consciousness of it will be burnt. And we mean to be burnt in a good way or to contribute to the flame. That is why your being on earth, who was called Rumi Mevlana, he had said in the beginning he was raw and cooked and burnt. But being burnt is actually being in your true expression. For you are devoid of the over-perfectionist or planning nature. Therefore, when you can create through your unique power of optimal potential and ability, you can come into a greater knowledge of yourself and be able to contribute that which needs to be revealed to the world and others. Therefore, whilst it is good, it is also important that you are aware some things need to be put on hold and some things you need to create with more certainty. For when you are certain of that which you are creating, it will bring more of an evolutionary blessing. For some beings we tell to take risks, and yet in your situation it is best not to take risks, to only do that which you feel certain of. And the law of love is certain. And how do you apply that to the following journey, dear one? It is important that you respect this in order to succeed, dear one. For otherwise it is like some things are given to, some things are depleted. But when you give to the flame of love, things shall be successful. There will be more on this at a later stage. We invite the next question, dear one.
Dear John, do you have any question, please?
Yes, please. So, I am full of gratitude to be in connection with every single spirit here in the circle. And I would like to hear if there is anything that would be good to hear for me.
Yes, dear one, you see, you are going through a whirlwind of changes currently. There are many things you have been considering, and yet some things have been a little bit delayed, and some things are becoming quite clear quite rapidly. It is important that you understand that the changes are good in your life. The more changes you work with, the most optimal. For there are some beings and some situations you need to dilute or remove from your life, and there are some enriching relationships and contributions that you need to join into your life. For you see, you must know that spiritually you are on a progression. As a business, you are starting to be on a progression. And it is important you must be very careful who you bring into your life and your reality that close. We would like to remind you that we are facilitating and assisting you during this process, and the feelings you have are correct. Therefore, really confront those feelings that you need to understand deeper level, dear one, for they will reveal to you the next stages of your progress, which will be quite rapid in form and time. We would like to remind you that you are very good at that which you achieve, and yet it is also needed for you to have time of play and time of travel. And yet you are trying to multitask many things right now. And sometimes multitasking career, love, travel changes can seem very overwhelming and complex. And indeed it is. Therefore, apply the most important things that you are creating in time frame accordingly. There are some needs for separation and some needs for partnership and joining. You have many plans to integrate, and yet it must go more from the feeling, not from the mind. For if one is aware that something does digest not well, they do not consume it. If a being is aware that something gives a higher state of bliss, they embark upon that route. That is what is needed, dear one. Yes, and the 7 is needed for you, a lucky number. Yes, yes. We invite the next question, dear ones.
Dear Idil, do you have any question?
Yes, I'm grateful and thankful for your messages.
Yes, dear one, you see, there are actually many beings in spirit, dear one. There is also another that has not forgotten you. And it is like the A and the plus and the love that was always lit up is always surrounding that which has not been lost. It is important as you connect deeper at a deeper level, is important that you understand the messages that they are all giving you, the three beings in spirit, and there are more, that they are bringing forth, that people often admire your courage, your strength, and yet also it is a beautiful gift that you can express your vulnerability. For by expressing your vulnerability, you have made the deeper connections in your life. That processing of the dynamics in your life right now has caused much heartache, much headache, and yet the processing is almost complete. During the month of March, there shall be some enhanced clarity. There shall be some greater satisfaction in the family aspect front. And financially, things are going to bring more of an independence into your state of reality. And by that we mean that you will be able to be more confident in your own body again. For at times you have felt that you have been living in the body of the mind. And yet, as you come more into the spirit of your awareness, you will be able to receive that love that you truly deserve. For you see, those that know you really well are ready and prepared to give to you the deeper expression of love that you are truly deserving. You have had samples of that, and it is important to go further down the rabbit hole in order to climb the tree. It is important that you understand that this is the year of transformation, and this is the year of change. And whilst July and August will bring some returning to motherland areas, it will start to change. It is important that you understand that right now you are going through the completion in to be able to transform. The pain is the blessing in disguise that is revealing the butterfly that has not yet been born. Yes. We invite the next question, dear ones.
Thank you very much for being here, Divine Spirit. And I'm totally with you, and please give your messages to me. I'm totally with you.
Please pass the channel a pen and paper. You see, thank you. You see, the music of life is really the flower of life. For the interconnectedness of reality. And again, the 8 is important for you. And it is important how you utilize the love of who you are. It is important that you start to create more, dear one. For you have a unique ability to sense that which is of quality and of eventability. Therefore, we remind you the eventability is those events and those things that you can create. You can bring into reality. And it can only be done with joy and a state of knowing. And what you know, you don't need to explain. For the heart knows what it knows because the love grows, dear one. And it is important that you are able to utilize your full ability and talents and gifts to a higher expression. Your timing is about unification of your creative ability and your knowing without the need to explain. And the flower of life is the symbol you must reunite with again. For in all areas of your life, it is required, dear one. The symbol, the message, the awakening. Yes, yes. We invite the next question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spirit. I would like to ask your guidance on my new dreams and new projects. So I feel so excited and ready to dive into these new dreams, but then I also have the feeling of being scared of repeating the same patterns and mistakes. And how can you help me to avoid the same patterns and to have more relief and joy in my new?
You see, dear one, it is so essential that you invoke the passion into your life. For you see, your life was devoid of the passion at times. And yet you enjoy. But the passion is really that which will allow you to achieve and expand upon that dance of life. For the passion is the key to liberating yourself and making yourself free. For your expression of the law of love, you need to understand the passion is where the colors are created. The expressions of consciousness is birthed from the reality of passion. Now, through the aspect of passion, then a new form of miraculous. We are saying it like that because there is the need to stop time. For miracles can only be experienced when you let go of numbers and age and conditions and circumstances. It is like the birthing of Christ into the human reality. The limits, the illusions, the dates, the ways were dissolved by the passion. And that passion continued from the birth to the death, to the transformation. And therefore there really was no death. And that is part of the eternal flame that was leading to the oneness, dear one. For once you understand that, you'll be able to orchestrate the passion into your dreams, into your miracles of experience, of health, of becoming free from that which you no longer need. You have been trying your best and doing your best for so long, but you have at times forgotten the passion. And therefore these new passions, which you call dreams, need to be brought into the fashion of your reality of who you are. For you like fashion, but you often forget the passion. And therefore, when you connect with a passion, you infuse the law of love into every area of your life, even those areas that you experience with yourself when you are alone, when no one is with you. But you must understand, when there is no one with you, you are not alone. When there is loads of people with you, you are not alone. Well, an animal knows this. An animal, a dog, a cat, a bird, is aware of the many spirits ever present. And therefore, through passion, they are able to ignite into the flame, and they are able to relax into that state and frame of deeper relevance to themselves, to understanding. Therefore we say, forget the dreams, follow the passion. For the passion will lead you to fulfilling the manifestation of the completeness of the process. Yes. We invite the next question, dear ones.
Dear Spirit, how can I serve the world, my surrounding, more specifically the children? For instance, several years ago, I was involved in a project in Africa, and shall I continue on this
Continue,
project?
dear one. Continue and expand upon it. And indeed, invite others to facilitate and assist who are from the heart. You see, the love is like the bread of life, the essential. And therefore, through that giving, through that orchestration of, again, doing it because it's my passion to be good. And you must understand that we in spirit, we try to help all beings remember the love, the unified love, the awareness. And yet we do say to those that are ready, and indeed you are ready, be the love. For you have given so much and you continue to, but we remind you, by being the love, it is like what makes Christmas on your planet. It is the whole experience of that unified love, regardless of body, of taste, of shape, of size, of experience. When there is love, it creates that experience. The transformational expansion is going to expand further. And yet we must remind you not to overcompensate yourself. You give accordingly to the necessity that is required, based on the power of love, of divine love from divine spirit. That which needs to be expanded upon will develop. And it is important. There are many beautiful ways to assist, to educate. And the Holy Trinity of that which has created the love, the orchestration of it in physical trio and spiritual trio will continue to develop further. And in relation to helping the children, there are no limits. For that which is being birthed into reality and expanded upon is now divinely assisted. There will be much healing. There will be much journeying. There'll be much love. There will be some invitation to invite another also. And there will be 3 of you who will visit and go to the area, and then there shall be 8 of you. And you must understand, it is like some people say, what do you really want? What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for now? And it will be the experience of being able to see the love in another's eyes, especially a child or a being that is like a child. It is important that you remember to be like a child, to play more, to be in that expression. For the children are the teachers. They leave no stone untouched because they kiss everything with their love. They bless everything with their love. Remember that. The children are the future of expanding into the law of love. Be like a child. We invite the next question.
Dear spirits, throughout the time we've met with the channeler, I've had many trance channeling sessions, opportunities for messages to be revealed, and what I felt in my heart about my soul and my journey was approved by you and given so many precious information to me. But if there are more messages, I'm always open to receive, and if there's a guidance that is suitable to be revealed here, because I know in my life times, step by step, I was informed to reveal step by step to people. I value that, thank you. But if there are any more messages, I'm here. If not, I'm also here and grateful.
There is not that which needs to be approved of anymore, dear one. It is more that which needs to be guided. And just like the double infinity has the rainbows, when there is a double infinity, it can become one infinity. It can become the unified expression of that which is. Now that which needs to be revealed is more simple and yet more complex. For it is like going within a doorway which leads to a matrix. Some plans will need to be changed, some plans will need to come into the castle of what it is. By that we mean there are going to be grand surprises or blessings that will need to be experienced. And yet less planning is needed, more accepting of that which is grand to come. For the future really is that of more stabilized expansion of the divine reality. You have learned a lot about yourself, of how to work and manage things in your reality. And now there is the need for you to understand how to integrate it accordingly. The music is still needed, dear one, and the songs for Africa, and the music for the love of when you unite with another. It can intensify. It can ease into that. When you can truly trust another more than you trust yourself. Please pass the pen and the paper to the channeler. Thank you. You see, like the directions in the world, it all leads to love. And yet when it's unified, it's at a deeper state. It's like the ocean of love, the core of love. It is important that, just like folding, you've got to understand that it has to be done organically. When it's organically, you can learn to use your wings, the infinity. It is important that when you fold things even more, you will start to realize that the treasure is the experience. It's not just what is within it. It is the experience that you encounter through it. So it's not attaining something, it is going through something. Yes. And you must understand that the heartbeat continues to beat. Yes. And be aware to communicate that which needs to be communicated in a deeper state. Yes. So we invite the next question.
Thank you.
Dear spirits, my father, I'd like to connect with my father who is passed away 18 years ago. I'd like to connect with him and to hear his words if he wants to say something to me.
As he comes forth, he says he was often hard to you, often judgmental at times, and yet he is coming forth with deep approving of who you have become and that which you continue to be. He found it hard to communicate at times. He had expectations and goals, dreams, aspirations for you. And yet, he has one regret, that he never has been able to express to you that you have surpassed all of his expectations and more. Although there was often not many heart-to-hearts, you have been able to have many heart-to-hearts to others to remind them to get back onto their path. You found it. You found your path in life, in business, in career, in love. You found it by yourself. And you learnt to find the path of mastery by yourself. And he acknowledges that this path was sometimes that which had not been trodden on before. And yet by you doing so, you had created and been able to create a new path that was away from the maze of life. Because a maze can be a good thing. It can be a fun thing. And yet many beings can find themselves lost. And yet you were able to look above the maze and create a different dynamic. And this happens in many areas of your life and your explorations. He reminds you that June was a month of transformation. And he reminds you of the interconnecting that you continue to do in your life. And you will develop more on a spiritual level of the interconnections. You are able to give, and therefore you give. And yet you do not give because you are able to. You give because you are initiated to. And by that we mean that you are an old soul, and you have been born into this reality to initiate certain ceremonies, certain spiritual transformational experiences. Although he would not have revealed all that which is being revealed now, he is very clear and certain of it in spirit. Yes, there had been partings and separation, and yet the love was only grown upon. And indeed, the gifts, the treasures of who you are, is like the aspect of the king's soul. And by that we mean that which needs to be developed upon can only be done with the action of what a king would do for the benefit of its country, its world. And this is how you have put into your life. And therefore when one candle goes out, it is important to light another. For this is the state of what you are capable of doing. And indeed, he asks for forgiveness, but he knows that you forgive. He asks for understanding, but he knows that you seek to understand. And he knows that you have found yourself in the expression of who you are. And he knows that you are certain of some things, and that is important to develop upon that. Yes, yes. We invite the next question.
Thank you.
Dear Spirit, I would like to know your upcoming messages about me, whatever you see, which is good for me, please.
You see, dear one, you are coming into a state of being able to breathe your fullest reality into a unified expression. For there has always been you on the agenda, how you would survive, how you would be found in this reality. And yet now what is happening is that you are starting to find that in the unified expression of the following full few months, it is important you understand a lot of your reality is based on perception. When you come into the safety and the law of love, you will start to be able to utilize your full power and potential. And this is the time this year, dear one, for you to start to be able to integrate more of that in your reality. For you are safe, you are loved, and there will always be enough support. There are many who love you, in your family, in your relationships, in your friendships. It is important that you understand to be more in your full potential, that you start to realize you are safe and loved, and there can be no abolition of that, for it will continue to be so in whatever circumstances that happen. There is no judgment. But you must remember you are safe, you must remember that you are loved, and that by over-trying, by over-perfecting something, it sometimes loses part of the joy. Be spontaneous in your nature, and the love and the bliss will be expanded upon. We invite one last question for each being present tonight, dear one.
Thank you.
Dear Spirit, can we ask to our friends online or only physical ones here?
Online also, dear one, but one for each and every being, dear one.
Okay, thank you. John, please ask your question. Do you have any question?
Yes, please. I would like to ask something specific for me. I've been seeking for a specific name, the name for my endeavor, the name for my project, for my business. And I've been seeking to root my project properly, and I felt like I've been told the name, it's altar. So I just want to learn is the one to proceed.
What is the name, dear one?
Altar.
Altar. Yes, dear one, that is correct. For we were seeing that the the A was the most significant part. But you see, it is not just the name, for a name is a personification of a spirit, but it is about the unification, it is about the and. For the joining of something is the merging of it, and uniting the divine with the physical, with the online, shall we say. For a lot more in the future will be less outside there and yet more inside there. For it is like even the state of the internet and the communications that you beings experience. You think it's outside there, but it is actually a lot more penetrating within than has previously been understood. Therefore, it must be very important that that which you communicate online is done selectively in the coming years. For a lot more of you is accessed by other forces than is realized. It is important that you always attribute and contribute to the divine expansion of that which is in true reality. And that there is really no time and space, and yet there is the devotional aspect of that which needs to be revealed. The name is good, but the logo is not correct, dear one. Yes. It has not been decided upon the logo, but the name is correct, dear one.
Thank you.
We invite the next question.
Dear Edil, please, do you have any question?
Yes, I'd like to ask another question. My younger son on Wednesday is going to have an operation that will put him under full anesthesia. I would like to get guidance on how to help him throughout this process, and especially also for both my children in the future, how I can help them through some difficulties they might be facing in their lives.
Okay, dear one, you see the throat and the teeth are a communication of that which needs to be communicated. The children often struggle with areas of communication in their throat, in their teeth, and moving forward in their knees. And therefore what we would like to remind you is emotionally your youngest son is often finds it very hard to differentiate and distinguish between love of a mum and love of a father, love of a friend, love of a admirer. Really struggles with that differentiation and understanding that the love will still be there tomorrow. If they are loved, they will still be loved, for they feel that when another being loves and has to separate or does not have tolerance, then that means that they will be rejected when they grow up also. He is very sensitive, and therefore the important thing you need to apply to his life is to remind him to unleash his natural talents and abilities, and therefore he cannot be judged or judge himself, and he cannot be rejected, for he is unique and he will always be loved. That is the greatest thing. Your oldest son is a lot more confident and yet at the same time easy to follow others' ideas and patterns, and therefore he needs to be able to think for himself and be able to be certain and sure in the decisions and the understanding of his reality. You have been doing the best you can, but that is the most important thing that you must do, and your oldest son needs to play more sports whilst your youngest one needs to play more music, and they can benefit each other by recognizing their unique qualities and their unique abilities, instead of feeling that they have to fight to in order not to be rejected, dear one, for love is the law and love will always be there. Yes.
Thank you.
We invite the next question.
Thank you very much what you tell, and I'm listening to you.
You see, dear one, the process is a lot more easier than you think it to be, and that the next following months will be that of quite a transformational, blossoming journey, dear one. And we would like for you to have a few spontaneous serendipity adventures in the next following few months, because you have earned it, dear one. It is time to travel and have some spontaneous journeys that you had not previously perceived to be coming into reality. We are always protecting you, please do know that, for you had not felt like that all of your life into some of the relationships, but you are indeed protected beyond means. Yes, yes. We invite the next question.
Thank you very much.
Dear Spirit, could you please help me to and elaborate me on what's my body is telling me with what's happening in my womb and repeating again now?
Similar, dear one, you must know that you are protected, firstly. There is the protective circle of light and higher beings. Secondly, you have self-created the situation because you have felt that in your feminine, full feminine power, it was not safe for you to be able to express. The healing journey and the healing work that you have been doing since the situation transpired has been transformational, and although you are in a deeper state of realization and healing, it is important that there is some form of surgical intervention in order to be able to fulfill you coming into your true expression of your feminine energy and power, dear one. It is not as complex a operation as that has been proposed. It is far greater simplified version with only one area being intruded upon, but it shall bring miraculous healing properties to it, and you will be one of the first to be able to go through an experience after the operation, dear one. Fear not, for you are indeed protected, and it is important that you make sure you are appropriately nourished during this time, and the essential oils are given, the frankincense, dear one. Yes.
Thank you, Spirit.
We invite the next question.
Dear Spirit, do you have any message or guidance for my dear son, Keremcan?
Yes, dear one, for you see the direction has been correct that has been chosen. It is important that although it is like there is one foot in one shoe, one foot in another shoe, sometimes he is certain that he wants to put one foot in that shoe and then this shoe and this shoe, and he likes shoes actually. He likes shoes very much, and he would not like to reveal that to the many people, you know. It's those who know him know he likes the shoes, but it is literally the direction, the path, the in and the out, and it represents his life, you see. One foot in this shoe, one foot in that shoe. One minute he likes that girl, the next minute he likes that girl. One direction is this, one direction is that. Even when he says he has made up his mind, he could have all of it. And he is also like that with life, with food, with everything. It is a quality of him that is quite unusual and yet quite humorous in its nature. And it is an ability you often worry about. You often think, well, how can I best assist him? And yet it is also a quality that you must learn to tolerate, and now you have other areas in your life you need to focus upon. It is important you do not worry, you tolerate it. You realize he is always going to be like that to the last day of his life. I mean, he's always going to have lots of shoes as well. You know, he's always going to be a very a unique character, and yet it does not harm anyone. It only harms another when another worries about them unnecessarily. You see, he's actually more capable than many beings and yourself realize. You do not need to worry, dear one, for you have given him the best, and also he's got many shoes to choose from. Even if one pair of shoes he gets bored of, there are still many more. But what is important to remember is his favourite shoes will always be his favourite shoes. And yes, the decisions have been correct of that which he has, yes, learned and which he has chosen. And any concerns he shares with you at times also is important to remember they are not fully justified, for he will succeed. And this is certain. Yeah. We invite the next question.
Thank you.
Dear spirits, thank you so much. The guidance you just gave was a blessing to both of us. I would like to ask, I know that in this lifetime, because it was revealed from the spirits, was the lifetime that I would connect with my my eternal love and with my tribe. And as a being in my soul level, how can I betterly assist, and how should I take role in my tribe with the connections I have to the spiritual realms sometimes, even though I do not understand fully? How can I be more positively impacting in my community is the right way to put it.
Firstly, dear one, we like cake, especially wedding cake. Invite to share the cake. Invite to share the love that is growing. And secondly, you have there will be travel with you and the channeler as well, and this will fulfill some activation that needs to occur. And it is important that, thirdly, you are aware of the numbers. For the numbers speak when things do not need to be necessarily fully understood at the time. A portal can be embarked upon, can be entered into through the numbers. And fourthly, it is important that now, before there was two, now there is one. You remember that as you make decisions, you make them accordingly, and that you, on the spiritual path, you are both able to assist those that are in need of remembering the law of love. It is far simpler than you currently imagine, and you know more than you think you need to know. And therefore, by that we mean you have come through, we will reveal to those that do not know, you have come through Orion's belt. And because you have come through that, you have been gifted the purpose of being able to reveal certain keys and treasures to those that are ready, dear one. And it also means to find that within yourself, within your heart, and apply it in integrity. For those that have come through Orion often have the challenge to be able to fulfill their mission in the highest expression. And yet when you are able to do this, the integration and the love you feel will be so intensified. And others will naturally rejoice in that love, because they will feel it, they will see it, they will experience it. Therefore, there is less you need to understand, and more you need to just be the love. And we have always reminded you the importance to sing this. And yet at times there has been some reluctancy. Therefore, sing the law of love. And there is no before or after. There is this love that is ever presently growing. Therefore, the previous expectations or situations will never be. It is important to be the love that is here now, dear one. Thank you. We invite the next question.
Dear Dear Spirit, we are here a people of like our soul family here, and then this group of circle people and soul, we connected one more time all together in the same circle, and we feel so connected for each other. Do you have sent any message for a group message to us, or do you see any? Because it seems that we all have some journeys that's moving, and do you see some advice, comments, or words to us?
Yes, you see, dear ones, that it is like the interconnected matrix. There is the golden coin, there is the button that you must push together. You must experience some journeying, some travelling together. For though it is all that some of you are going to similar places, far away places, staying in different things, there are 3 or 4 countries that will be grounded into a activation currently. Some need to be done ahead of time, some need to be done at another time. It is important that you all go to the island of the gods, shall we say.
Right.
Because, you see, in Lemuria, there was some activations, there was some destruction, there was some spreading out of some special tools of awakening, some special codes that were planted. And it is very hard for one being to receive the termers, shall we say, in one body or digestional process. For they would either need to be in a remote place or very protected or very certain of who they were. And therefore what you are all doing is going to be activating and understanding some of these codes. Again, there is the need for you to do less but reveal more, and to share that within the group, for there will be other centres, other portal vortexes, communities that will be set up on the world. And really right now what is happening is that those who are of a soul family are needed to join and to keep coming together. This you have personally known of for many years, dear one, but now the intensity is getting stronger. For just as a volcano is there in its power, joining with the soul family allows the beings to unify into this interconnected power. Therefore there is the need for the island of the gods. There is the need for the place of the king soul energy, King Arthur. And there is the need to reconnect with the area of Padmasambhava's teachings also. And then there is the need after that to go to a place where it is rather different. It is one of ice.
Yes.
And so because of that, you will understand that the 4 directions have been addressed. The 4 connections have been realigned on the map, for there are many places in the world that are starting to shift, to change. And yet, those of you that are aware will know those 4 locations, the 4 masters. And what does the ice represent? The clear bliss of that inner light, which cannot be experienced by one alone. It must be experienced by a soul family, by a travelling, a being together. And in some of those situations where you cannot be together, of course we would prefer that you were with each other during the majority of those times. they will either need to reoccur with the same beings and more, or they will need to be started to form a spiritual soul, we don't like the word company, spiritual soul tour family.
Tour family.
For the route that is mapped out is that which is aligning the paths and creating the higher places on the planet. For there are 3-dimensional countries. There are 12-dimensional. There are more. And it is important that you understand when you connect with the others at the certain times and situations. It is needed. And we do remind you, if there is to be a tour, if there is to be travel and development, what normally happens is that there must be someone who goes to an area or a group. They go to an area together, either by instructions, by research, by feelings, or to prepare the path. Therefore, sometimes there is the need for one person to go ahead and prepare the path. And sometimes there is the need for 3 or 4 or 7 or more. And therefore, we do say the most optimal is always there to be 3. At times when there cannot, then 1 is suitable. At times there can be more. But what is important that the first time that happens, and then there is the union, and then there is the development of understanding the codes. And when that is done, create that treasure map, and the spiritual soul tour family starts to develop its spiritual mission further. You see, when you are ready, the golden coins will be shown. That has been said throughout all of Legacy, dear one. And you must understand you cannot push the button alone, for it will only turn on one light switch. When you are there together, there will be more intensified light, because you'll all have a switch, or you'll all be able to press the same switch. And this will reveal that which is needed to be revealed into the world. It is quite an enchanting journey that you are all embarking upon, and you have no real free will, to be honest. Because you have pre-agreed to it, and it is certain. Yes. We've revealed it a little bit too much, but it's okay. That is fine for now. And we invite the next question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spirit. I want to ask about our tribes. Next, do you think, is there any place you can recommend for every of us to live together in harmony? Any countries?
Live.
To move.
There are too many to choose from. You see, there was a heart feeling from some that Turkey was the place. And yet it is also starting to move more outside. You see, and also it depends what you mean by live. For indeed, there are places that will be more lived in than others. Some for 3 months a year.
Yes.
Some for 6 months a year. Some for less.
Yeah.
And this, a few of you have started to realize, started to open up to the idea of. And therefore, some beings will be drawn, some of the soul family will be drawn to Portugal, to England. And yet all of you will be drawn to Bali. And therefore, we do remind you, it is not important how many homes you have, how many places you live in, but the symbology of the 3 months, the symbology of you can live in different places. You don't have to have a place in all of those 3 places, but it would be more optimal. It is important to integrate like the web of love, shall we say, of tangibility, to be able to facilitate things further for the healing and the spiritual communication of that which is ready to be experienced in joy and bliss and a spiritual development. You see, you have touched upon some areas of the deep connection with the soul family, be it consciousness enhancing experiences, be it finding the tribe, be it the health is wealth, be it the joy. And yet now what is transpiring is that it needs to be integrated into an equal form, equally addressing the spiritual, the consciousness, the love, the beach, the areas of understanding. For it is not just one or this, it is going to be more. There is some revelations and some discussions and some facilitating of the process that will happen quite soon, dear one. And it is important that you understand that this year will bring much to celebrate for all of you. And more, and many more beings. It is about all contributing accordingly. Yes. We invite one last question.
Dear spirits, thank you for honoring us. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Channeler, and I'm grateful for each one of us here. I claim to connect and communicate with Ishar in all times and spaces, in all dimensions. I would like to know who I am talking to. Thank you.
You are talking to Ishar. For you see, what you must understand is that all that is happy, all that is full of joy, is that which is organic and natural, like a child's love. For a child knows only that which is of the law of the love. And yet when you beings get older, for some reason you like to break up the jigsaw puzzle and try to put it back together again. And yet you must remember that being who has broken up the jigsaw puzzle can only make it back together again with support and help, for it had forgotten the full meaning of who it was, so it had to break itself up into pieces. And therefore the message for you, the message for everyone, is to remember that without the jigsaw puzzle being complete, there is the necessity of the joining with certain soul beings that can help you put it back together again. And when this happens, you realize, when you are helping another fix their jigsaw puzzle, that it's all the same puzzle picture. And you see, if you could look into the DNA of your blood, it would be the law of love. Therefore, let go of your insecurities, let go of your mistakes. Come into the full essence of the love. For yes, you have made mistakes. And yes, they can only be forgotten by the law of love. The law of love will bring that which needs to be revealed at any given moment of time, of space. Yes, you are all on a path now of law of love, and yet it is not like a law that is enforced unwillingly on you. The law of love is the thing that you don't have any free will of, because the love will always live. And you can only find it by finding it with another. mind you, the needing of eating the bread and the cheese, do not forget that. For there are some staples. The bread of love, the nourishment of the ocean, which brings the milk of nourishment. For when you are a child, you require the milk of a mother. When you get older, you need to eat to consume nourishment. And yet, what is the ocean of love? And where is it? And who is it? That is your homework. Goodbye and good love.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Ay nasıl acıktı.
Ben de.
Nasıl acıktı.
Raining. Looks like
Bastın mı?
crystals outside. Mhm.